Hello and welcome back to the Watford Way. Unfortunately, we are not talking about a positive Watford result today, but I do think there were some positives to take from the game. And of course, we'll discuss all the talking points from Watford's night out in London against West Ham. But I'm not on my own today. I'm also joined by Callum from @the Hornets House on Instagram. Callum, hello. Welcome to the stream once again. How was your day, firstly?
Yeah, it's been going alright. I mean, obviously the result yesterday wasn't the result that we wanted, and it wasn't a result that we particularly, that will help us for the rest of the season. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. West Ham are a good side, and I think we actually played pretty well last night. So I'm not as dejected as many people thought that you would be, because obviously it's a Watford loss. But hey, it is what it is. I've had a good day today though, so I mean, it's made up for it.
What you been up to today? Anything particularly interesting?
God, I mean, I wish I could say it was going around London twice and exploring the London Eye, but it really wasn't that interesting. College, and more college.
Yeah, is what it is, Callum. Ultimately, and of course, the Watford result obviously doesn't help, but we're here to try and bring obviously some joy today. Firstly, I just want to touch on obviously the Kurt Zouma situation. Because it did play a factor in the game, of course. In terms of footballing ability, Kurt Zouma is a really good footballer, a really good defender. But morally and in terms of being a decent human being, he obviously is not that. Callum, I presume you're the same as me, because me personally, I was shocked to see him starting for West Ham, especially after what had happened during the day before the game.
Yeah, a really controversial decision. And I think I'm really disappointed in David Moyes for even considering picking him after what we saw. It left the whole world disgusted after what they saw. As a pet lover myself, I've got 2 dogs and a cat downstairs. As much as they can be a nuisance sometimes, I would never, in my right mind, do what he did. The videos that I saw circulate over social media were shocking, and the fact that he got the abuse that he got during the game. Obviously, King hacked him down. It definitely wasn't intentional, but I think they collided, and then the abuse that was hurled toward him from Watford and West Ham fans, I think it was definitely deserved. And I saw that he's been fined 250 grand, and he's donating that over to animal welfare charities, which I think is probably something that West Ham and many other outlets have probably told him to do. But I don't think that's really off his own accord, because he did apologise, but I'm pretty sure that's just not "I'm sorry I got caught" kind of excuse. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna probably not touch on too much now, because I don't want to get into too much trouble if anything I say is untrue. But yeah, I feel like he probably shouldn't have started for yesterday, and it's just shocking, really. It's a huge controversy.
Well, exactly, and I just think the reason David Moyes game before the game, obviously managers do their pre-match interviews, they discuss the team selections and why they've selected certain players, and basically David Moyes said he selected him because he was one of his better players, which made me think if that was a West Ham academy player who sits on the bench for quite a while, would there have been such a big deal about it? But David Moyes, he said he's one of my better players. I'm playing him. I'm not really interested in that. He's one of my better players, and I want to win the football match. Which, to be honest, for me, is not really a valid point from David Moyes. I think morally his selection was wrong, and hopefully the relevant authorities can take further action on it. That's all I'll say on the matter. But talking about the game, Callum, obviously there was a few interesting selection issues by Roy Hodgson. We stuck with the 4-4-2, Callum, but he did message me before the game. Obviously, João Pedro, I wouldn't say he was dropped, but he maybe was rested, which I did think was a very, very odd decision. What did you make about Roy Hodgson's selection against West Ham? And obviously, my question to you is, was it the right selection on looking back?
I mean, it's interesting because it's Roy Hodgson, and we know how much he loves those 2 holding mids in Kayembe and Sissoko. So I expected something like a 4-4-2, to be honest, because I couldn't see him changing a game like this against West Ham, who are such a top tier side, because I reckon that he would have shown some consistency. And obviously, it didn't prove too effective, because our attacking prowess and our lethality up top wasn't quite up to scratch, to be honest. And that's probably the reason why we didn't score goals, because goals win games. And with Pedro being dropped, being rested, I presume, I think he did actually come on there, and he did actually quite well. I think when he came on, he definitely showed a lot of pace, a lot of tenacity, which is what we need in attack. And I think once Sarr comes back into the squad, that's when I think things are going to start to rotate, because Kuchka as well, I didn't think he played, incredibly last night. I think he definitely put in a shift, like all the players did, because we definitely went down fighting, but he definitely didn't put in a shift as what I think Sarr would do if he was in the squad. But I feel like the squad will rotate because we have too much of attacking options, to really play alongside Sarr and Dennis and Hal Pedro. We've got Cucho as well. We've got loads of other attacking options. We've got Ken Sema, who, granted, is probably not going to get into the squad now after what we saw against him versus Burnley. But yeah, what can I say? Jarrod Pedro being dropped, interesting decision, but I guess we go with it.
It was very interesting, and my concern is playing this 4-4-2 formation. Roy Hodgson seems set on. He seems to like Tom Cleverley. Tom Cleverley has started the last 2 games, hasn't he? Or he come on off the bench against Burnley and he started against West Ham. I do think the 4 midfielders in that block of 4 in the 4-4-2 really does limit us going forward. I thought Emmanuel Dennis did as well as he could, and I thought Joshua King really was non-existent against West Ham. And it's going to be interesting for me to see, Callum, how he fits Ismaila Sarr in, how he fits Imran Louza in, Cucho Hernandez, João Pedro, because there's only a certain amount of spaces in the 4-4-2 for attacking players. So I don't know what it's going to do in regards to fitting these players in, Callum.
Exactly, and that's what I just touched upon there. We have a lot of attacking talent up front. Some of them young, some of them reasonably aged. So they can all put in a shift, granted. But like you said, there's only limited spaces that we can put them into, and unless they adjust their position. I know King can play left mid if he wants to. I don't know if he can put in the best shift as what he'd do opposed to a striker, but he can play in that position. So whether it's not adapting to different positions and train them to be quite a versatile player. Like, for example, Hal Pedro can play on the wings and on striker, so I feel like that could be an interesting asset if he's used in that way. Dennis as well, he can also be he's also been utilised on the wings, I think, this season, I believe.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, he has, yeah. So yeah, he can also be used as a striker as well, so he definitely is one of our better players. He's got that lethality. He's got loads of goals this season. I think he's on. I don't know if he's on par with Ronaldo. He was on par with Ronaldo last time I saw. He's near enough there anyway. So it's actually quite weird saying that now, considering we're in the situation that we're in, and we've got a striker with the same goals as Ronaldo this season. But hey, take with that what you will. So yeah, I mean, with the 4-4-2, Kayame Sissoko, I expected them to start. To be honest with you, I think they've been quite solid. With Burnley, not so much against Norwich, but hey, I think probably less said about the result the better. But yeah, against Burnley, they were decent. They weren't amazing, but hey, against West Ham, I expected them to start, and they did. The defence, I think, was pretty solid. Kamara really, again, definitely showed his class. Incredible left back, and I think we've definitely made a steal of a signing there. From Nice. I think Samir as well. Yes, sure, it did deflect off of him, and that is a very unlucky goal to concede. And of course, Foster couldn't get any hands near it. So that was the goal to concede. But hey, I guess we move on now because the goal was conceded, and there's nothing more you can do about it. But yeah, I expected the formation that Roy went with in the team essentially because sure, I mean there was players like Hal Pedro, for example, were dropped, but people like Dennis, like King, like Kayame, like Sissoko, as I mentioned, like Kamara, he had to start. All those players there, they kind of cemented the place after the Burnley game. So yeah, I expected that.
Very, very good answer, Callum. Getting into the game now, and the key instance that happened in the game. I think the first chance Watford had really, again, came from Hassan Kamara. Callum, you've already mentioned him. He had a superb game down at left back. £4 million. From Nice out in France is, for me, is such a bargain. Probably one of the best buys we've made for the last few years, to be honest. He's only played 3 or 4 games for Watford, but so far he's absolutely he's not really put a foot wrong. So really, really happy with Kamara. And this opportunity did come by Hassan Kamara making a good overlapping run down the left. Emmanuel Dennis lays the ball into Kamara. Kamara crosses into the box, and Kuchka heads the ball wide, and he did have a lot of time. Kuchka, he should have really got that on target. Callum, obviously you watched the game. That was really our only chance in the first half. Really, really good opportunity to score and go ahead there in the game. So should Kuchka potentially done better in that scenario?
I mean, it was a class cross for Kamara. Don't get me wrong, and then I think Kuchka, quite near the back there. I think he definitely could have put that in. I mean, Kuchka, he's not had the most Premier League experience, of course, because we only signed him. I think it was how many transfer windows ago we signed him for? I think it was it a season ago? Yeah. So yeah, he's not had that much of experience, but I feel like he definitely couldn't have put that away because it's quite an easy header, to be honest. I don't think Fabianski would have got near it. Again, with the attacking sense, like I've mentioned before, we just didn't have that lethality up front. Dennis and King, I don't think provided much. That's why on my ratings at the Hornet House on Instagram, they both got a 6. So I think we definitely went down fighting, and we definitely did not show we definitely didn't show not any fight at all. I think we definitely showed some prowess, showed some talent, and it just shows who we have up front that can be utilised. I'm really versatile. I'm mumbling here, but yeah. So I think Kuchka should have put it away, and that's all I'm going to say because I'm going to avoid mumbling too much.
Don't worry. I absolutely agree. I think it was a big chance for Kuchka. Obviously, it was going to be a difficult game for Watford regardless. West Ham really dominating possession. I think at that point they had something ridiculous like 75% possession or something like that. It was a very, very high percentage. And obviously Watford, being now counter-attacking side under Roy Hodgson, you have to capitalise on opportunities like that. And it was a poor header. He's got to at least get that on target and work the keeper. In the first half as well, Jarrod Bowen, obviously he was the only goal scorer of the day, but I thought he was causing us a few defensive issues. Probably been, alongside Mikel Antonio, Declan Rice, probably been, one of West Ham's best players this season. I think he's up there alongside Mo Salah in terms of goal contributions as well. So, Jarrod Bowen having one of the best seasons of his career. But, go into half-time and the start of the second half, I thought Ben Foster did make some crucial saves to keep us in the game. That was a fingertip save. And I think he saved it onto the post as well at one point. So, how crucial was Ben Foster in this game for us, Callum? Because I thought it was a good performance from him. Obviously, we might as well talk about the goal now because he is our goalkeeper and it did go in via a deflection. Could Ben Foster have potentially done better in that scenario? Because obviously we were discussing this before we went live. It deflected off Samir. And I think if you're a goalkeeper, once you've set yourself and you're ready to save, when the shot leaves the striker's foot, you're ready to dive in either direction. And obviously taking the deflection off Samir, that kind of wrong-footed Foster didn't it, Callum? So I think for me personally, I don't know about you, but I don't think Foster really could have done any better than he did with that deflection.
Well, yeah, I mean, any goal that's deflected off a defender, or any player that's in that position, a goalkeeper can't do much because it's either going to go one way or the other. So, I mean, he was planted at the spot, he couldn't do much, and obviously he looked really defeated once the goal went in. So, yeah, I don't think it was necessarily his fault. I mean, on my ratings, I gave him a 5, which I got standard for in the comments. I mean, people asking him, "Wait, Foster, why have you given him a 5? Why have you given him a 5? He didn't do too badly." And I was like, I don't think my excuse, really, or my reasoning why, kind of gave the reasoning as to why he was poor in that game. But just overall, I think he was. I just feel like he's not spring chicken anymore. He's in his mid-30s, isn't he? Something like that.
Yeah, so, Ben Foster's. I think he's 38. I think actually
he's 38.
I think this summer he'll be 39. Yeah,
it's crazy, and I mean, it's just the fact. I mean, sure, he can put in a shift. I still think he's a semi-decent goalkeeper, but the fact that he's our starting goalkeeper at that age is quite concerning. And of course, we've got Okoye coming in next in the summer. I think, is it summer or is it next season?
Yeah, this summer. Yeah.
Yeah, this summer. So he's coming in. He's very young. He did quite well in AFCON. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets along because I reckon he'll have a bright future at Watford if he thrives in the Championship, as it seems, Championship or Premier League. But yeah, I just think Foster, he's gone past it now. He's not at his prime anymore. Sure, he'll either move on to a foreign league or he'll end his career at Watford, either one of the two. But yeah, I feel like he's getting a bit old now, and of course I'm going a bit off topic because this isn't anything to do with the game. But yeah, I just don't think he could have done much. It was a poor save. It was a poor, unlucky deflection. And then he couldn't do much.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I thought the deflection really, it's just unlucky. That's what happens. That's what happens to teams in and around a relegation battle. The luck doesn't go your way. West Ham fighting for top 4. That's exactly what they would have wanted. It was a really, really scrappy game. Very similar to the Burnley game, actually. I think this is what we've really got to expect now under Roy Hodgson. Because it was, I found it really, really negative to watch. I thought, there was opportunities where we could have gone forward and, our midfielders just decided to play it back to the defence. They play it back to Foster. Foster would then hoof it up the pitch. So I do think, especially at home, we've got to be a lot more proactive. Maybe even change the 4-3-3 because of the attacking talent we've got. And then obviously in these away games that are key, then maybe set up in that 4-4-2. But, go into home games regularly, go into away games as well every so often. I do want to see more expansive football than I have in the past couple of games. So it's good that, we look defensively more solid, but we've discussed Callum many times now under Roy Hodgson. It seems to be taking away that attacking threat. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm very happy that our defence is looking a lot more solid. I mean, Kamara and Cathcart last night, I think, were brilliant. I think they definitely solidified our defence a lot more. And like he said in his press conference for Burnley, he said that he'd be opposed to trying formations that are a bit different, aka the 4-3-3. And to be honest, as we've got Brighton at home next game, that's your chance to do it. It's your chance to show that you've got a bit more expansion in your play instead of just sticking with a 4-4-2. We've got players like Sarr. I don't know if Sarr will probably be coming back for the Brighton game. I don't know if he'll be at full fitness just yet. He might come off the bench. But we've got players like Dennis and Hal Pedro, like I discussed earlier. They're very versatile. They can play on either wings. We're probably going to start King at the striker position. I don't know, or maybe Dennis, or maybe King may even get dropped. I don't really know his decision. I'm not Roy Hodgson. So, I mean, with I think Kamara, Samir, Cathcart, and Firmino and Foster, that'll be our backline for quite a few games this season because they've not really put a foot wrong. It was just an unlucky goal that we conceded yesterday. And with our midfield, obviously it's a free midfield, so this could be a chance now for either Thibaut or Lauza to come in. I think Lauza could be used as our creative pivot in that 4-3-3. I think Kerr and Sissoko can stay where they are because I think they're quite solid. We've got Hal Pedro, Dennis, Cucho, King. We've got a wide range, and it would just be a bit of a waste. Kalu as well. Completely forgot about Kalu. Yeah, we haven't brought him in, so yeah, we've got way too many options up front to not try and rotate constantly. So I try the 4-3-3, and if it doesn't go to plan, then we just try and find another way forward or stick back to the 4-4-2 if that's what he's more comfortable with. But it will show that he's got a bit of variety with what he's doing, and hopefully uses against Brighton and shows what he's made of.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Samuel Kalu there. I mean, that signing seems very, very odd now because, you mentioned the attacking talent we've got. Sarr, Pedro, King, Cucho, Kalu, Ashley Fletcher off the bench even as well. We've got so many attacking players. And for some reason, they prioritise bringing, yet another winger in the transfer window. It's very, very baffling. Will Samuel Kalu get used under Roy Hodgson? I haven't got the foggiest. But talking about another attacking player, Callum, before we end off this match reaction, it's Joshua King, who did have a really, really difficult game yesterday. I believe I saw a stat on Twitter. He's only got 2 goals from open play this season in 20 appearances. Obviously, 3 of his goals come in an Everton game. So 2 open play goals in 20 appearances. I mean, that for me, Callum, if that was Troy Deeney, if that was Andre Gray, they'd be getting absolutely slated. So do you think that Joshua King, needs to be more clinical? Do you think he maybe needs a period out of the side to, refocus? Because obviously we've got Ismaila Sarr coming back, Dennis is back, Pedro's on good form. So do you think Joshua King should come out the side? Why we've got these, other options available, or do you think, he should stay up top and maybe develop that partnership with Emmanuel Dennis a little bit more?
Well, it's a hard one because obviously we trailed out that Dennis and King partnership last match, and it didn't prove too effective because we didn't have a lethality on our attack full stop. And I don't think we can wholly blame that on King. Sure, his stats are pretty poor this season, but I just don't think our attack really provided much threat at all last game. So what I'd do is that I probably would get rid of King because I just don't think he's really been up to it for these past few games. And for example, we've got Kalu, maybe we can then play Dennis up at striker because I know he can do quite well in the sole position, quite stay central. We can then play Kalu, we can play Sarr when he comes back, we can play Hal Pedro on the wings. We've got so much attacking options. I know I sound like a broken record saying that, but it's constant. I have to constantly remind because it's a joke how many attacking options we have and we're just not utilising them and we're going with the same options. So I feel like King probably should drop. I think we're playing Cucho because I know Cucho can come on as a pretty effective super sub, but I feel like he'll probably do a better job than King at the moment. Hal Pedro as well, he's looking on form. I probably would play him with the wings for now, just because he's got quite a lot of pacey bursts forward. He has those attacking outbursts quite well. I think he'll link up quite well in the left wing spot with
I think his
Kamara.
dribbling ability as well, João Pedro, is really, really good. I think there was an instance.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
It was towards the end of the second half. Actually, he kind of jinked his way into the box, didn't he? And set up an opportunity. I think it was for Joshua King actually on the back post. So as you said,
really agile. Yeah, he's really agile. He's got really good crossing ability, and I feel like he'd be a really good asset for us. And that's why he probably should have started. Now I was shocked to not seeing him in the starting lineup yesterday. And I just want to point out a comment there in the chat from Melanie HK. He said he looks like he's lacking confidence, and I only assume that she's talking about Josh King. And I completely agree. I mean, you wouldn't have stats like that if you weren't lacking confidence and you weren't lacking Premier League quality. So I think he definitely just needs a bit of time out of the squad. Just kind of reflect about what he's doing this season. Just get his head back in the right space and play with the heck tons more attacking players that we have, and then see if that's the right solution.
Absolutely, and hopefully João Pedro was just rested, and of course, hopefully he will start against Brighton. Ismaila Sarr, you mentioned, Callum, before we end, is back, we believe, from Senegal, obviously winning the African Cup of Nations. Once again, we send our congratulations to him and his teammates. Come on. I do think that AFCON as a whole benefited Sarr. Obviously, he had that long-term injury. There was that battle between Watford and Senegal, whether he should go or not. Ultimately, Senegal won. He went out there, recuperated from his injury, come off the bench a few times, started in the final. He got a goal, he got an assist, and he looked sharp and ready to go. So whether he starts against Brighton or not, I do think he will be involved in the squad. I'll discuss this on our Brighton preview tomorrow here on the Watford Way. You can catch that tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. We'll be looking ahead to the game, talking about Roy Hodgson's press conference. Graham Potter, of course, the Brighton manager as well. We'll talk about what he had to say. There'll be an injury update from Watford as well, which probably will mention Ismaila Sarr. So it'll be interesting to see what his situation is. And Callum, thank you for coming on once again. Really do appreciate it. Can I let everyone know where they can find you on social media?
That's right down there. It's at the Hornets House. It's on Instagram. Like many other Watford pages, I'm just trying to build my community at the moment. And also, I just want to take the time to thank everyone who has checked out the page, has given it a follow, has dropped me a like, or even just checked out some of my posts. The support's been really overwhelming. In just over 2 weeks, I've managed to hit 3 figures. So I've managed to hit 100 followers. So yeah, it's been amazing. So thank you very much for all your support, and if we can keep that going consistently, that'd be amazing. So make sure you share the page over to your friends, your family, anyone that's interested in Watford or just in football in general wants to check out my page. There's going to be a lot more posts coming very, very regularly, as this is something I want to try and implement now into my schedule, because the page is also doing quite well and it's receiving positive feedback. People are getting people are interacting inside the comments, and I'd be delighted if you guys could as well. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling on. At the Hornets House would be great if you could follow, and yeah. Thank you for having me on, James.
Pleasure, Callum. No worries at all. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll be back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Callum might join me as well. Hopefully I can get a few other guests on for the game. If you know a Brighton fan, if you're friends with someone from Brighton, let them know that James is looking for a Brighton fan to come on as well. That'd be much appreciated. And apart from that, obviously, please comment, please like the video, and of course, please subscribe to The Watford Way. That would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. looking ahead to the Brighton game. Bye-bye.